Hello and welcome to Physical Therapy, a movie podcast inspired by the world of physical media and beyond. My name is Kurt.
My name is Sam.
We are also joined by our fearless producer, Kimberly.
I don't know how fearless I am. I'm pretty fearful.
That's
Good
true.
point, yeah.
Yeah.
Try as I might, you keep walking out when I'm showing you tarantulas eating people's lips, etc.
Yeah. I know. Fear.
Fear. On today's episode, we're talking fear, baby. Sam, we have a very special guest to talk about fear. Who's here? Who's going to be here?
My good friend John Bohlmann is going to join us to talk about the master of fear, Stephen King.
Ooh.
We're each digging out 2 Stephen King titles from our collections, and John is going to highlight the 2 movies that he is programming for the Stephen King double feature here at the Hollywood Theater in Portland on September 22nd.
Sam, before we get to John, I think we'll save announcements for next week so we have time to talk to John, but anything you want to confess? I'd hate for a week to go by without having an opportunity to free ourselves.
Yeah, clear the soul a little bit.
You know, I have been decently good. I have not bought anything new, but I had 3 pre-order boxes show up in the past 4 days, and I would like, yeah,
Oh my God.
I would like to drive right off a cliff.
I believe you talked about one of them last week, right? Like a big box that was coming, including The Man Who Would Be King and like 30 other Sean Connery movies.
Yeah, I got my Severin sale box from them that included The Shark Hunter, Night of the Sharks, Baskin, A Dog Called Vengeance.
I was hoping they were all shark movies. It's just like 40 shark movies.
That was a big theme of their sale this summer.
Wow. Okay.
And then I got a pre-order from Orbit today, actually, that had a bunch of the Umbrella stuff in it. So I got The Fall, I got Black Sheep, not the Chris Farley version.
What other version is it?
It's about killer sheep in New Zealand.
Oh, okay.
This movie, Creep, not the Mark Duplass one. Salute of the Jugger, because I needed to buy that for some reason.
Wow. These are deep confessions.
You know, I am struggling, but I'm doing okay. What about you, Kurt?
I went on a quest.
Ooh,
I found out that my wife
Ugh.
had not seen Mad Men.
like the series?
Yeah, the series.
Yeah, I've only seen like 3 or 4 episodes. I'm terrible with TV.
I've never seen it either.
I thought it was on Hulu. We have Hulu. I thought it was on Hulu. It's not. I thought it was on Netflix. It's not on that either. We were debating like, okay, well, do we get, what is it on, AMC Plus?
AMC Plus.
It'll take us 6 fucking months to watch it. I know that.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, what's up with the Blu-rays? And there's box sets that are, I don't think they're necessarily out of print, but they're not like widely available. Like they're kind of hard to find. Amoeba didn't have it, and I ended up getting one on eBay. There's a couple versions though, and one of them is like a side-loading nightmare. And I found one though that I was really happy to find on eBay that's like the size of it's like a DVD size, Sam, you won't like that, but it's like the Twin Peaks Entire Mystery or whatever it's called, or like the Twilight Zone. It's that size. So not side loading. Thrilled about that. It's coming from eBay, I confess.
Yo, now that we're talking about TV on this movie podcast, have you watched any Alien Earth?
I started it one night and was sort of turned off by a scene in which a girl like jumped off a cliff and was fine. And I decided that I didn't like the show because it didn't feel like anything I'd ever seen in Alien or my beloved Prometheus. But I have heard it gets better. Do you like it?
I do. I got caught up today. I think it's pretty good. I'm not going to sit here and say it's like the best thing ever, but there are some really cool ideas and things that happen in that show.
All right. Well, in 30 years when we finish Mad Men, maybe I'll watch it.
There you go.
Oh my God.
I also pre-ordered Night of the Juggler, which we've talked about like 45 times on this show.
Hell yeah.
Wait, I thought you couldn't get it.
I got it on Kino's website. Orbit's
Oh my God.
pre-order ran out. I discovered that on Orbit DVD that apparently pre-orders can close.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I was like mortified by that, but I did find it still available. Please, God, let there be a slip. I'm not sure.
It will.
In that order, I also got a movie that Kimberly recommended called Xanadu. Kim, what's up with Xanadu?
I'm obsessed with Xanadu. It is an Olivia Newton-John starring 70s musical that is directed by Gene Kelly, and Gene Kelly is in it. I mean, say no more. It's radical and crazy, and it's about muses, and it's like a mythical, crazy roller skating musical. So, I mean, my God, I love it.
Are you a fan of Xanadu, Sam?
No. I've seen 14 minutes of it, and that's all I know.
It's crazy. The lead guy from the Warriors is in it, and he's not that great, but Olivia's great.
Here's a hot take. He's not that great in the Warriors either, but the Warriors fucking rules.
The Warriors does rule.
But that's pretty much it for me, Sam. I really want to acquire some Amoeba credit and buy the Phoenician Scheme on 4K.
Did you ever see that?
No, but I keep hearing how good it is, and I really want to get the 4K. So perhaps next week I'll confess that to you.
Okay, should we bring in John? You ready to talk The King of Horror, Marty?
Let's do it.
Okay, so let's welcome to the show my good friend John Bohlmann.
Hello.
John, we're happy to have you here today.
I'm happy to be here today.
Nice to meet you, John.
Indeed.
So, John, you and I met in a film group when I first moved to town, and you were regularly volunteering at the Hollywood Theater.
Yeah, that sounds right.
That was a fun film group. We would watch a movie and then get together at a bar, and everybody would talk about it and kind of just talk through it, talk theory and all that stuff.
Did you guys watch the movies together, or did you show up having watched it like a book club?
Stephanie, who was the head of it, would have them have group viewings for anybody who couldn't get a copy of the film or just wanted to hang out.
Okay.
But for all intents and purposes, you were on your own.
John, for the past couple of years, you've been programming Stephen King double features at the Hollywood Theater here in Portland. How did you get set up with this gig?
Well, I've been volunteering at the Hollywood for a long time, and there were some shows that I kind of co-curated with some friends of mine who had a series there. But often I would speak to Dan, the programming director, because I know him pretty well, and just throw out ideas, for something coming up that was on theme or something. In fact, actually, the Hollywood currently has The Insider on the calendar, and I sent that to him saying, hey, what's going on at CBS? You should show The Insider.
Hell yeah.
But it was Stephen King's 70th birthday, and George Romero had just died, and Bernie Wrightson had just died.
Oh, wow.
You need to show Creepshow for Stephen King's 70th birthday, not only because of the memorial, but because when Stephen King made that movie, he was 35. So it was literally like the halfway, like everything was just aligned perfectly. And he said, that's a good idea, but I have something booked for that day, so I can't do it. And then I don't know if it was how soon after that it was, hey, how do you feel about doing like a Stephen King double feature every year on his birthday? I was like, a double feature? Okay. And so it was a no-brainer. We did it for his 71st birthday, and I did Creepshow and Cat's Eye with the perfect double feature to start off. It sold out immediately, and it's just been going on from there. And the fun thing, too, I don't want to ramble on too long, but the fun thing about it is every year and I've been successful so far, is coming up with two movies that go together on some kind of theme. You have to stretch sometimes, but for the most part, Stephen King's kind of got a 1-2 punch for every movie.
Are you, what's your relationship with King? Are you a longtime reader and fan?
Oh, yeah. I'm not sure. I think my introduction to him may have come about with Creepshow, because a buddy of mine loved that movie, and that was probably the first one I watched with him. I remember the commercials for that very vividly on television. I was 8 years old, but I remember them very vividly. I was like, what is this movie? I got to check this out. But my mother, just happy that I was interested in reading anything at all, would give me Stephen King books. She's like, here, read this, because she'd read them.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a corny thing to say, but I feel like I know him because I've been reading him my whole life,
Sure. Marty, what's your relationship with him?
I definitely read a few of them in high school. I was a big fan of The Gunslinger, the first Dark Tower book. I think I only made it through maybe 4 of those books, but I had a real moment with the beginning of that series at least. And then, the movie to me was The Shining. Like, that has always been one of my favorite films and probably put him on my radar in general. Mm-hmm. I'm not someone who's read them all or seen them all even. I've probably seen more of the movies than I have read the books, but usually I hear about them through you, Sam.
Yeah, I found Stephen King in about 7th or 8th grade, but we also grew up in the 90s where I feel like there was a Stephen King TV miniseries kind of every couple years or months. And so his name was always very prevalent, and I remember seeing books of his at the bookstore, but I didn't start reading him until I think like 8th grade, and I started Salem's Lot and thought it was like the most boring thing ever. And then I moved over to Cujo, and now Salem's Lot is my favorite book of his, and Cujo I think is one of like the worst books ever.
I'm with you on that. Yeah.
It's bad. It's overwritten. It's long. Ugh. But he was on a lot of drugs while he was writing it. You know, I've been a fan of his my entire life. I think at this point, there's probably, I'd say 8 to 10 novels of his that I haven't read.
Wow. Do we have any idea how many there are among this group?
70-ish?
Are you counting short story collections or novels?
Let's just do novels.
Novels. Yeah, I couldn't say, but that sounds right.
Wow. I also wonder how many movies there are. There's so many.
Well, I actually have a list of them right here.
Do you?
Yeah, but they're not numbered.
Well, I remember one time when at Hollywood we did Stephen King's 75th birthday. We did a big thing because Hollywood's connected to Movie Madness, and they did this thing where if you went to the Stephen King movies, because we showed 7 Stephen King movies for his 75th birthday over a month, and you could get a punch card, and you could get Stephen King movies for free if your punch card was filled or something like that. I don't remember the rules of it, but at one point I went to Movie Madness and I did a search for Stephen King just to see how many movies popped up. And I don't remember the exact number, but it was because it included miniseries and all kinds of things. But it had to be at least 200, maybe even 300. It was enormous.
Oh my God.
Insane.
Wild.
Well, for a long time, he had that program where you could buy the rights to his short stories for $1, which gave a lot of young up-and-coming filmmakers material that they could work with, which is awesome.
That's how Frank Darabont got started.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
Yeah, he did The Woman in the Room, which actually got Stephen King's attention for when he did Shawshank, because The Woman in the Room it's one of his earlier short stories, and it's not an out-and-out horror story. It's about a guy whose mother is dying in the hospital, and he kills her. He pulls the plug on her and gets away with it. It's very short, but Stephen King thought, who's this guy buying this of all my stories that he wants to do for a first film? And he ended up doing Shawshank.
Wow, that's so crazy.
I mean, literally, like from that short story to one of the most beloved movies of all time. It's
Right.
It's a pretty wild little arc he had.
Well, there were probably some interim films, but that was a Stephen King trajectory. Yeah.
Yeah.
For our listeners who aren't in Portland, will you tell us a little bit about the Hollywood Theater?
Sure.
We talk about it occasionally on this show. Sam, you're a regular, but John, fill the listeners in on the offerings there.
Well, the Hollywood Theater is Portland's oldest theater. I don't know if it's Oregon's, but it's certainly Portland's oldest theater. And I actually, incidentally, I think it was this month was their 99th birthday.
Yeah.
Like
Wow.
next year they hit 100. But it's a nonprofit. It's obviously a iconic piece of Portland, and Portlanders, being kind of the activist minded people there are really in love with it. And it's seen a lot of bad days. It was closed down for a while, I think in the 70s, and it had a fire, and like homeless people were squatting in there, and just through community they've pulled it together to restore it to not quite its original glory, but it's still got that gorgeous facade. They still show films on like 16 millimeter as well as up to 70 millimeter. It's just a really great, exceptionally rare that I go to another movie theater, regardless if it's playing other than the Hollywood. And frankly, other theaters just kind of gross me out because they're just not, it's just a iconic and gourmet film screening.
Yeah. It's phenomenal. I'm there probably 5 times a month, if not more. I love that theater.
And the programming is so unique too, because they show not only like new stuff and retro stuff, but artistic stuff, foreign stuff you couldn't see anywhere else. Dan, the guy I mentioned earlier, is a program director, has the only existing prints of certain films, and he hosts like a kung fu theater, grindhouse theater, repressed cinema. It just seems like every week there's 2 or 3 different special screenings that they do monthly.
Have any of the Stephen King ones you've programmed been on film?
Oh yeah, Creepshow and Cat's Eye, the first one, was on film. The second year we did Christine and Maximum Overdrive, and I believe those were both 35 millimeter.
Damn, where's the 4K of Maximum Overdrive?
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Yeah.
The Creepshow Cat's Eye double feature was so fun because, Marty, if you don't know, both of those movies are anthologies. But what's so great about watching those back to back is that it just feels like the double feature of it all just flows together so well because you're just watching these little vignettes the whole time.
Yeah.
Fucking perfect.
John, before we get into our Stephen King picks. I'm curious what your relationship is to physical media. We talked a little bit about Movie Madness, which is, of course, Portland's incredible video rental store. Obviously, you're affiliated and familiar with that place, but do you have a DVD, Blu-ray, VHS collection of any kind?
Oh, you know it.
Yeah.
Probably not as extensive as yours. I'm actually sitting across from it right now, and it spans, I don't know, like the width of the house at least.
I am looking at your face, scanning it, and you're moving your head far, so it looks big.
Yeah, it's sort of a timeline. It's like VHS and then DVD and then Blu-ray, you know. And I do have some digital, but largely just because I happened upon it. But I don't know what it is about the tangible thing, if it's the packaging or just the notion of like, this is mine and I have it.
Yep.
Whereas just go off on a little tirade, I have a subscription to Vudu, and I remember at one point I think Walmart bought them, and they kept you from watching it on like devices or something for a while, which clearly didn't stick. But I was thinking like, I don't like that. I don't like somebody just, I own something, but somebody decides how I can watch it, or even if it exists anymore. Like one of these places goes bankrupt and all the movies are gone, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. We've talked about it on this show before, but it's part of it is what you just hit. Maybe it's the packaging. Maybe it is the idea that you can just hold it in your hands. But to have that thought of, this is mine, I can put this on whenever I want. I don't have to scan some streaming service if I want to watch Carrie tonight.
Yeah.
I just go over the shelf, pluck it up, put it on. That's a really freeing and fun thought.
Yeah. There's also, this is pretty rare for me, but I like the idea of having, hey, I can watch the extras, I can watch the voiceovers, I can watch the trailers. It's more than just the movie. You can't do that streaming. Well, maybe you can, but it's not as readily accessible.
Yeah, I mean, there's nostalgia tied to it, and also like these days the quality is just unparalleled, you know, with streaming still. Even Blu-ray most of the time I think looks better than streaming a movie.
Absolutely.
There's plenty of reasons, and I'm glad to hear that you're a fan. Okay, so listeners of the show will know that often Sam and I will pick titles from our collections based on a theme and reveal what we have watched for a given episode. This week is, of course, inspired by Stephen King. So Sam and I are going to do that, and then John is going to tell all of us what we'll be playing during this year's Stephen King double feature at the Hollywood. Gentlemen, are you ready?
Yes.
Yeah. Kurt, really quickly, did you pull titles from your collection or from the shame pile?
I pulled from the shame pile.
Myself included.
Neither were that old as far as like editions go, but I had not seen one of them ever, and I had not seen one of them on 4K, which is how I watched it.
Cool.
Same for you?
Yeah, I'd had one for a minute, and the other title I picked up at a sale fairly recently. Both were in the shame pile, so I had 3 Stephen King titles to choose from the shame pile, and these are the 2 I went with.
John, would you like to kick us off and reveal what the first of the double feature is coming up at the Hollywood? Tell us the date actually first.
The date is traditionally Stephen King's birthday, which is September 21st.
Okay.
This year it is September 22nd because, appropriately enough, the H.P. Lovecraft Film Festival, which is an annual thing, is playing through that weekend, so we couldn't show it on Sunday. So I don't think Stephen King would mind being bumped for Lovecraft sitting on his shoulders.
Like he'd be A-okay with it.
Yeah. So I thought that was appropriate.
Amazing.
So yeah, it's Monday, September 22nd. I believe it starts at 6:30. Maybe I would say for anybody listening, show up at 6 so you at least get a good seat. You know. Yeah, double feature. Complete running time should be, I don't know, close to 6 hours maybe.
6 hours.
Well, maybe not that long. The second movie's long, and there's like an intermission and stuff. So
Okay.
to circle back to your original question, actually, before I get to that, little preemptive, I've been doing the Stephen King birthday double feature this is my 8th year, and so I don't like to rerun movies. And that's part of the fun of the challenge of putting 2 movies together. So again, introductions aside, the first movie is Firestarter, the original Firestarter with Drew Barrymore.
Sam, is Firestarter on 4K?
I don't actually know. Not by one of our beloved boutique labels, I can tell you that right now.
Okay.
And the bummer is that there was a remake a couple years ago.
That is a bummer.
Yeah. That is actively terrible. So every time you search Firestarter 4K, it always gives you that.
Mm-hmm.
Did John Carpenter do the music to the new one?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I've listened to that, but I don't know these movies. Drew Barrymore young. I can picture the cover. I can picture the VHS scaring me at Blockbuster as a kid. What is Firestarter?
Firestarter is, in a nutshell, it's about a little girl with pyrokinesis, for the uninitiated, that's the ability to create and control fire. But it's kind of your classic horror formula of the little girl who doesn't understand her power or how powerful she is, and therefore she's innocent but dangerous. To expand on the plot a little more, the government's after her, obviously. Things don't go well.
Kurt, it seems like Shout/Scream Factory has put this out on Blu-ray, but a 4K I do not see.
Okay, cool.
This is actually one of my favorite Stephen King books. This comes right around the time that it's like Dead Zone and this are like 2 1-2 punches, and they're both kind of sci-fi horror with people with powers. So there's kind of like some like a comic book element to them both, but 2 of my favorite books of his, without a doubt.
God, Stephen King, like he's so prolific that constantly I'm just like, oh yeah, that's Stephen King. Like the Dead Zone. You just mentioned the Dead Zone.
Yeah.
Like I never really think about that being a Stephen King. I haven't read the book, but the film, like I never really like associate him. I just think of the ice is going to break every time I think of
Oh my God,
the Dead Zone and how good it is. But
yeah,
it's just, there's so many examples like that where you're like, oh, right, that's Stephen King.
And didn't you show the Dead Zone last year or the year before, John?
Yeah, last year was the Dead Zone and the Green Mile.
Oh yeah, that was great. Yeah, Firestarter is just one of those. I don't remember this movie super well, but I remember reading this book in high school and then running out to Blockbuster to go pick up the movie to see how they adapted it, at least. Any
particular filmmaker, anybody behind Firestarter?
What's his name? Lester, the guy who directed Commando. His name escapes me right now. Lester is his name, I think.
Oh yeah, I'm looking it up. Mark L. Lester.
Yeah.
So a genius.
It's fortuitous that his next movie was Commando, because they're definitely of the same kind of spirit. Very wildly different films, but still got that sort of renegade mayhem and destruction, thing going on.
I imagine a lot of good special effects in this, a lot of practical fire.
That's the thing. Having not seen the remake, clearly its downfall was CGI, because, and this is something I intend to go into in my introduction to the film in a couple weeks, is it looks like one of the most dangerous movies ever made because all the fire in it is real. And in that regard, I like the book better than the movie for the usual reasons, but watching it, it's one of the most satisfying movies, not just Stephen King movies, but any movie, because if for no other reason, the rampage. I know that's a spoiler to say there's a rampage at the end, but it's also like saying, well, there's a shootout at the end of Scarface. I mean, it's a Stephen King movie called Firestarter. If there's not a rampage, you're not getting your money's worth, right?
Yeah.
But that rampage is unbelievable. Unbelievable. I don't know how they made that movie without anybody getting hurt. I really don't.
I can't wait to see it on the big screen.
Damn. I mean, that is what I'm after. When I watch a movie, I want no one to have gotten hurt and for me to wonder how no one got hurt. And I'm a happy boy.
Yeah.
It must have stressed the filmmakers out horribly.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, watch out for flying shrapnel. We're going to blow the car up.
Like starring a child, nonetheless.
Yeah.
Again, not to spoil too much of Firestarter, but like her dad has powers. The whole thing's awesome, dude. The story of Firestarter is awesome.
Wait, how old is Drew in this? Is this pre-ET or after?
After.
Okay.
Yeah.
It looks like kind of right after, right?
I think she was 8.
Okay. Wow.
Or at least the character's 8. It came out in 84. She was born in 75. So they probably shot it in 83. What was that? She's probably about 8.
So yeah, pretty young.
That's wild.
Oh, Drew.
She's really good at it too. They don't give her a lot of credit for how good she was for as young as she was, because they do all these things where they blow wind in her face to make her hair, and she doesn't blink, and she stares straight ahead, and she looks very intense. She's like, she's a cute little kid, but she really sells it. You really feel like power is coming from her and not from like the pyrotechnics guys.
She's so good in E.T.
I know. Oh my God. We watched that recently. She's amazing.
Kurt, to bring it back to one of your earlier points, the reason why John Carpenter did the music for the remake is because he was originally attached to direct this movie.
The original?
Yeah.
Whoa.
But then dropped off of it because Christine didn't do well.
Okay.
Or no, because...
Maybe it was a thing, but...
Yeah, The Thing didn't do well.
God, what a world. The Thing didn't do well.
Crazy,
Hard
man.
to believe.
That's because of E.T., to circle back to E.T.
There you go.
Yep.
Wow. Yeah.
Blame Drew.
Exactly. Oh my God.
Blame Drew. All right, Marty, what was your first choice?
I'll put this one first because it was mentioned, but I revisited The Green Mile on 4K.
Oh, interesting.
This was a movie that I saw on VHS. I remember vividly seeing this movie. I was like very interested in being allowed to see it. Like I was like begging my parents to let me see this movie. It was 99, right? So I was 11 when this came out. R-rated and had, dark, intense subject matter happening. There's like a murder and beyond of two young girls. It's like the center kind of inciting incident of this movie. And I think for that reason, my parents were kind of hesitating to let me watch it in the theater, at least. And I remember finally getting to see it on VHS, watching it alone. This is a 3-hour and 9-minute movie, I believe. It's a long movie. Stars Tom Hanks, Michael Clark Duncan, and the greatest actor of all time, David Morse. It is a movie about a Louisiana prison during the Depression, and Tom Hanks plays a head guard on this prison block where prisoners are waiting for their executions. And Michael Clark Duncan plays a man named John Coffey, who is convicted of killing 2 young girls and sentenced to death, but essentially has Christ-like powers and is believed to be sort of sent from God, a miracle worker. It's about these guards in this prison and waiting to put this guy to death as they discover that he is this miracle worker who probably is innocent. And I remember watching this movie as a kid, and I remember crying harder than any movie had ever made me cry. Like, I just remember being absolutely destroyed by this movie.
Yeah.
And guess what? Happened again.
Did it happen again? Yeah.
This movie is really powerful. This is Frank Darabont. This is his follow-up to Shawshank. What year is Shawshank? 94?
Yeah.
So it's a while. It's 5 years later. And he comes back with another Stephen King. Shawshank is, of course, a Stephen King adaptation, and so is this. And, this movie is it takes big swings. It's emotionally like borderlines cheesy, I think, at some points, like by today's standards. But ultimately, I think this is an amazing movie. Like, it really works. I love how long it is. You really like sink in to this story in a way that I don't think ever really gets boring. I watched it on 4K. It looked fine. I wouldn't say it was like a knockout 4K by any means, but just like unbelievable performances and a really powerful story.
Yeah. I remember watching this in my dad's basement alone when we were visiting the East Coast at one point, and I'd just being like, what is this?
Mm-hmm.
It's a great movie. And I remember when the books came out, because it came out as a serialized story.
Oh, really?
So he would release I think it's 6 parts.
Wow.
And he released them every couple months or so for like 2 years. Every once in a while at a used bookstore or an antique store or something, you can find like the box set of all of them that comes with a floppy disk that has a Stephen King screensaver on it.
Wow. Physical media.
It rules, dude. Yeah, this movie's great.
I remember I actually read it originally when it was coming out, and instead of like a smart person waiting till it'll come out to buy them, I bought them as they came out and had to wait. That was maddening.
Yeah.
What length of time did you say? How far between the first and the last?
I believe a book came out every month.
Okay.
But the last part was longer, and you had to wait like 2 months. I was like, God damn it! Like, I waited my month. I want my ending.
Yeah, geez.
This is actually one of the novels that I've never read. I had the first 2 parts as a kid just because it was like something to collect, but I never read it.
John, you said you double featured this with The Dead Zone?
Yeah, it was a long night.
Yeah. What was the connection to The Dead Zone? The powers?
Yeah, I like to give it a cute title just so people make the connection. I called it the Touchy Feely double feature because they touch somebody and then there's a reaction, and
yes.
And so yeah, it's one's clairvoyance and the other's healing. Although there's a little clairvoyance in the Green Mile.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was the connection. It's fun to watch. I'd never seen it back to back before, and it's fun to watch them when they're on theme like that.
I think the other thing that's like such a testament to the Green Mile, the movie, is like it is 3 hours and 9 minutes, and probably 2.5 of them take place on the same set.
Yeah.
This prison block is small. There's probably 6 cells, and that's where the majority of this movie takes place. And it's just like the performances, the casting.
Sam Rockwell, right?
Sam Rockwell, good Lord, plays a very bad man in this movie. But I'm here David Morse has floored me once again. And what's so great about David Morse in this movie, if people don't know David Morse, please Google him right now. Like, David Morse.
Yeah.
He's the dad in Contact. Maybe that's like the most like significant, like easy thing to describe him as being, because he's usually a supporting character. And he just popped up all the time in the 90s. He plays like Ed Harris's kind of right-hand man in The Rock.
Meg Ryan's husband in Proof of Life.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that's true. What's so great about the Green Mile is usually he's got like a little bit of danger to him. I feel like in a lot of these movies, a lot of action movies and stuff that he popped up in. But in the Green Mile, he's just like Tom Hanks's like kind of right-hand guard who's just like a really good guy. And I just fucking love him so much. He's still at it. God bless David Morris. Come on our show.
Well, I think the way Stephen King described the character was a brutal.
Yeah.
Was it he was one of those guys who, and it's kind of a cliche, but he's one of those guys who can be tough but doesn't have to be. Big guy who moves slow only because he doesn't need to move fast.
Love that.
It's on 4K. There's a lot of special features that seem to be carried over from, honestly, the DVD. There's a commentary track that I'd love to hear. I didn't have an extra 3 hours and 9 minutes before this podcast, but I do want to listen to that. But one thing that's on the Blu-ray that I really enjoyed, they have the theatrical trailer and they have a teaser trailer. The teaser trailer has like a whole like 3 or 4 minute introduction to it from Frank Darabont and like the storyboard artists behind like the design of it. And there's a character in The Green Mile named Mr. Jingles who's a mouse and plays a big part in the story. And they conceived basically this entire teaser that they shot specifically on its own. You know, it's not footage from the film, but it was going to be the teaser for the movie. And it's all these shots of Mr. Jingles the mouse on an electric chair, walking around it, kind of climbing up and down it while you're hearing voiceover from Tom Hanks. And they went to like, you know, they had like an entire second unit on production to shoot this teaser. It's on the Blu-ray and it was on the DVD, but it never aired theatrically because they pulled it. So the only way you know, the first time presumably you ever saw this was when this came out on physical DVD.
Whoa.
And they pulled it because Frank Darabont is like one of the main kind of subjects of this little making of. And he's like, I saw the teaser and there's like no scale to the electric chair and this mouse. So it looks like it's a giant rat and not a cute little mouse. And so it like, in the way that like the Tom Hanks kind of voiceover is playing, it made it seem like it was like a prison movie between Tom Hanks and a rat. So never saw the light of day until DVD.
That actually leads perfectly into my first choice.
I bet I know what it is.
Which is a 1990 movie called Graveyard Shift.
Ooh. Kino?
It was a purchase from Kino's recent 4K sale at Barnes & Noble.
Okay.
I regret buying this movie so much.
Oh no. Wow. Can't wait to hear about it.
Not only do I regret buying it, I regret watching it. I regret everything around it.
Hot damn.
This is a movie about kind of a drifter who shows up in a hot, like, Louisiana town to work at a textile mill. I don't really know how those work, but he's like putting cotton into a giant machine and then
spits out textiles.
I think that's exactly how it works. The guy who hires him mentions that he has to work at night because it's so hot and this machine runs so hot that they have to wait for cooler temperatures. People keep going missing in this mill. And then over the 4th of July weekend, a crew of people who work at the mill get selected to clean out the basement, which they realize is like built on the same plot as a flooded graveyard. And they keep going deeper and deeper into the basement. And eventually they find a giant rat and bat like combo creature.
Rat and bat or rat bat?
Well, it's like a rat. It's got a rat tail and a rat body.
So it is one creature, it's not two.
Yes. No, it's one creature. And it's got wings. When this movie first started, I was like, holy crap, this movie's gonna be awesome.
It sounds awesome.
You love a beast feature. You love a creature.
And then about 7 minutes into it, I was like, oh, this movie's terrible. And the guy who directed it never made another movie.
Oh, no.
This movie fucking sucks, dude. There's like nothing likable or redeemable about this movie at all. Even Stephen King, who likes some of the shitty adaptations sometimes, is like, it's like a quick bad exploitation movie.
There's nothing redeemable about the rat bat?
See, here's the issue with it. Like the prosthetics look really cool, but it's shot so poorly that you never have any like wherewithal to where anything is in the frame. So I'm like, it's just so poorly put together, dude. It's like the scenes with the rat bat are bad. There's like just like rats everywhere in this movie. I mean, I'll tell you that I was like, man, I never want to work in a fucking textile mill. It's like sweaty and gross and dirty. There's dirty rats all over the place.
The poster for this movie is fucking awesome.
Wait, I want to know John's expertise about this one. What do you think about it, John?
The thing about Graveyard Shift, I have seen it. It's been years. But the thing that I remember most about it is how forgettable it is. Really, it's just sort of it's not even that it's so much bad. It's just sort of just dull.
Mm.
It's a very ineptly made film, I think. And yeah, I watched it and I know I didn't like it. I don't recall hating it as much as Sam, but in some ways that's worse.
Oh yeah, dull is worse than bad.
Just a forgettable movie,
Yeah.
you know.
And, like, I picked it up because it was based on a Stephen King short story of the same name in a book called Night Shift, and there's some stories in that book that I really like. It has Brad Dourif in it, and Stephen Mock, who is one of the characters' dads in Monster Squad,
Okay.
a favorite of mine. Spoiler alert, Brad Dourif's death scene is awesome.
At least there's that.
He gets his head crushed by a coffin.
A coffin in the textiles?
Yeah, because it's like built on a graveyard.
Yeah.
Because of course. But no, this movie, it's 86 minutes, and
Damn.
I was like looking at my watch.
Ooh.
Well, kind of to circle back to the Green Mile, it makes me think of something that Roger Ebert used to say, which is no good movie is too long and no bad movie is short enough.
Yeah.
Yep.
86 minutes.
This was bad, dude. The minute it ended, I just like threw it into the cell pile.
Never want to see you again.
Get this out of my house.
I picture your cell pile being like a bucket outside where you just like toss it through the window and it always just lands in the
Yeah.
same thing.
Sludge.
There's a bucket just hanging on a nail right outside of my TV room window.
All right, John. What's part 2 with Firestarter?
Part 2 is Dr. Sleep.
Ooh.
Hell yeah.
Originally, I wanted to actually do a double feature with Firestarter. It was, I think, the first year after COVID, and I ended up doing Cujo and Pet Sematary, which was a great pairing.
Mm-hmm.
But I wanted to do Carrie and Firestarter, and I called it the Femikinesis double feature.
Yeah.
But we couldn't do that year because I think Carrie was doing a private screening somewhere, and the studio wouldn't let us have it. But we did show Carrie for Stephen King's 75th. So then I thought, like, well, I want to give Firestarter its moment in the spotlight. And I was thinking, like, well, what else besides Carrie? What pairs really well? And then it occurred to me, because Dr. Sleep's fairly new, it's from 5 years ago. It's like, oh yeah, it's the same concept of, like I said before, of a young girl, a pre-adolescent, who's very powerful, doesn't know her powers. People are after her. And it's up to like a father figure to save her. It's like, oh, this is absolutely perfect. It's even better than showing it with Carrie. So, and it's a real underrated movie. I mean, I was amazed at how many people I told, like, they would ask me, hey, what are you showing this year? And I'd say Firestarter, or I'd say Dr. Sleep. I've never heard of that. And it's like, it's a sequel to The Shining. Like, there's a Shining sequel? Are you
Yeah.
kidding me? How did I not know this?
Oh, wow. What's your little tagline for the pairing?
Girl power.
Oh, cute. That's good.
I'll admit that I have not seen this.
You're like such a Shining head.
I'll be honest, that's why I haven't seen it.
I think this movie is really good. I think, as John just said, I think it's underrated. If you have the ability, I think the director's cut is better than the theatrical cut. And Mike Flanagan is he's a really talented director, and he's done a lot of King adaptations at this point. I watched this during lockdown, and it was one of those movies that kind of came out at the tail end of 2019 or early 2020. I just remember its theatrical run got kind of screwed by COVID. But I thought this was a really good movie. And Mike Flanagan had a tough job of blending the Shining movie that everybody knows, which is nothing like the book, into like a sequel that somehow highlights the book and the movie.
Yeah, I got to give credit where credit is due. That was a tough tightrope he walked, and I cannot imagine it being any better than it was, honestly. I as a supercilious film goer, I often think, like, I could make a way better version than that. But it does such a good job of not only placating fans of the book and the movie, but also walking the tightrope where he doesn't really betray either one. I mean, to a certain extent. But yeah, if people go in there wanting to see a Shining sequel, not having read either of the books, they're gonna get it. And anybody who was like a big fan of Dr. Sleep is saying they better get this right. I mean, some people probably hated it, but I think he satisfied them too.
It looks like there is a 4K Blu-ray combo with the theatrical cut on 4K and the director's cut only on the Blu-ray.
That's so fucking lame.
Wow.
Based on my, frantic Googling that I'm doing.
Sure.
That sucks. Have you seen the director's cut, John?
I have, and it's good. I think the theatrical cut is tight and satisfying. I think the director's cut, if you just want to kind of like marinate in that world a little longer, it's good. It doesn't feel that long, but I actually contemplated seeing, oh, maybe we could show the director's cut, but then it's like, nah, it's already a long double feature. But I think it's satisfying enough in theatrical. It's not like, oh yeah, it's not like Aliens where it's like you have to watch the director's cut or you're being ripped off. I think they did a good job, and the extra footage is great, but not necessary.
Cool. Well, I know what this episode's going to make me buy.
Yeah. You should. I do think you would like it, Kurt.
Yeah.
I do.
That sounds amazing, John. You said September 22nd?
Yeah, September 22nd. Yeah. I'll say one thing about Dr. Sleep without trying to give anything away well, suffice to say there are a few flashbacks kind of to The Shining, and instead of, not to the movie itself, but the characters, Danny as a kid and stuff. And this movie came out just before deepfakes were a thing, but I kind of wish and it's kind of a ripoff to the actors who are playing roles, but I kind of wish that they would have made this movie using deepfakes. It would have been cool to see like Shelley Duvall's young face put on this actress who does a great job, or even like the little boy that plays Danny, put like Danny Lloyd's face on him. I think that would have been real interesting, and it makes me wonder if going forward people are going to do that.
Isn't Henry Thomas? Doesn't he play?
He plays, Jack Torrance in the flashbacks.
Oh, wow.
That's right.
This is an ET themed show after all.
Yeah.
Yeah. Henry Thomas, a good friend of mine, sat next to him on an airplane once.
Henry Thomas, friend of the show. He's never heard of the show, but he's somehow a friend.
He's somehow our friend.
Rose the Hat is played by
Rebecca Ferguson.
Dude, and she's awesome in this movie.
Oh, I love her.
She really is great. That's a tough role to cast. I remember reading the book on this whole thing hinges on Rose the Hat, and boy, she's good.
Yeah.
How's Ewan in it?
I bought it. As far as I wasn't distracted like, well, it's Ewan McGregor pretending to be Danny Torrance. I felt like, okay, I got it.
Okay.
All right, Kurt, what was your second title?
My second title, Sam, is a movie that I knew about only through you. This is a Shout Factory release of a 1985 movie called Silver Bullet.
Hell yeah.
We watched the 4K of that last night, and let me be the first to tell you, it fucking rocked.
It
Yeah.
rolls.
This is a movie about a wheelchair-bound 11-year-old, played by Corey Haim, living in a small town. He's got an older sister and a very cool drunk uncle played by Gary Busey.
Insane. Incredible performance.
Who makes him he makes him like a chopper motorcycle version of a wheelchair. That's amazing. And this movie is about a werewolf that is slaughtering people in this small town while they're trying to figure out who it is and stop it.
I've read this book, Cycle of the Werewolf. We talked about him earlier, but this is like a novella that Stephen King wrote with Bernie Wrightson, who did all the art for it. And the chapters of the book are month titles, and it's always like the full moon of that month.
Oh.
Do you know the concept behind it, Sam?
Was it supposed to be like a kind of like comic book?
It was supposed to be a calendar.
Oh.
With a little short story, but Stephen King just can't restrain himself. So it was so long. We can't make this a calendar. It's 25 pages long, So they had to make it a novella. But that's why there's artwork, like Bernie Wrightson's art for each month.
That's
Wow.
awesome. That's so cool.
The spookiest thing was it was a full moon last night when we watched it.
Oh, hell yeah.
It was.
So I hadn't seen this movie until a couple months ago. I got home, had a beer or two, and then cracked another one. Was like, yeah, I'll watch Silver Bullet tonight.
As one does.
Glued to the TV.
Dude, I feel like, Sam, you sort of set it up like, LOL, you bought Silver Bullet. Like, sorry.
I mean, it sort of is at first, but then it grabs you.
But I put it on with that mentality. I was like, okay, this is going to be rough.
We were having a great time.
A+.
I just never know, because there are times where I feel like I can tap into the ridiculousness, maybe slightly more so than you can. And I was like, I don't know, man. I thought that movie was the best thing I've seen in like years. And Kurt might just hate this thing.
Definitely not. It's not bad. That's the thing. I didn't think so anyways. Roger Ebert did, but I didn't.
I think it's bad. I think the only watchable part is Gary Busey's performance, honestly.
Wow.
Oh.
What about the part when it's 2 minutes into the movie and the werewolf swipes it like a railroad worker's head and it just goes flying across the frame?
Yeah, loved it.
I mean, it's not like Graveyard Shift. It's not that bad, but
I mean, it's definitely corny, but in a charming way, I thought.
I also thought that Corey Haim was like amazing in this movie.
He was great.
He's not someone I've really seen in much. I've never seen The Lost Boys. Is that a mistake?
Depends on your point of view, I guess. It feels to me like a movie. It's an 80s movie that feels like it was made like 5 years ago, and somebody said, "Hey, let's make an 80s movie and let's make it as 80s as possible." It almost
Okay.
it's so 80s it doesn't even seem like it's the real 80s because the real 80s weren't like that. But
Wow.
some people love it, some people hate it. I think it's overrated, but make up your own mind.
I don't care much about Lost Boys, but it's a good soundtrack.
All right, Sam.
Okay, so for my second choice, I chose a title that had been in the pile for a little bit longer and a movie that I saw as a kid that scared the hell out of me, which is 1989's Pet Sematary.
Hell yeah.
I would say it's one of the most beloved Stephen King adaptations. I still think it's very good, although I did not like it as much as I remembered liking it from when I was a kid. But this is a movie about a family that moves from Chicago to New England. The dad is he's like the head doctor at a college out there, and his neighbor from across the street shows him a pet cemetery that is like down a path on their lot that has been used for years and years by kids from all over the neighborhood. And there is kind of a darker Native American burial ground past this pet cemetery that has the ability to bring things back from the dead.
But they're messed up though.
Yeah. Sometimes dead is better. There's a quote from this movie, and that kind of tells you exactly what you need to know. They come back from the dead as not the same versions of themselves. And a bunch of fucked up shit happens. This movie's very dark. The book is way, way darker, and it's one of my favorite Stephen King books. Very hard to read at times, but...
Why is it hard to read? Animal stuff?
No, it's kids die.
It's a miserable book as far as everything going as wrong as it can go.
Oof.
Yeah.
Just tragedy upon tragedy,
But really, well, I mean, I think it's probably his darkest book, as you just said, John, just in terms of like everything going wrong. But this movie's wild. It's like campy and fun, but not insanely over the top.
It's got the boys have a penis, girls have a vagina kid from Kindergarten Cop in there.
That's right, yeah.
Miko Hughes, you mean?
Absolute genius.
And his neighbor Judd is played by Herman Munster.
Yeah.
In a great performance.
Yeah, he's amazing. Did you watch the 4K of it, Sam?
Yeah, I watched the 4K, studio release 4K, slip sleeve and everything.
Looks good, right? From what I remember?
Looks great. Yeah, it looks great. There's one scene in which a cat gets a shot that I really did not enjoy watching.
I don't think you'd like this movie, Kim.
No, I don't think I could handle it. That's why I haven't seen it.
It's dark. It's heavy. There is a flashback scene that haunted me as a child.
What happens? I can't remember that.
Lewis is the main character, Lewis Creed, and his wife, Rachel, is telling him a story. She has this hang up with death and sickness. She really doesn't like to talk about it. She really doesn't want their kids learning anything about it. And it's because when she was a kid, when she was 8 years old, her sister had spinal meningitis, and her parents like locked her away in this back room of their house.
Right.
And somebody would have to go feed her every once in a while. And at one point, Rachel was home alone, was feeding her sister Zelda, and Zelda like started having like choking and having spasms and basically like died. And the way that these flashbacks happen, it's actually a guy in a bunch of prosthetics, but like the spine and ribs and everything are showing from the back. And she's got a really taunt, kind of sunken face that's just like nightmare inducing. And I remember renting this movie on VHS from Blockbuster and getting to these scenes and just like that thing where you get like jolted and scared, but you can't stop looking at the TV, but it's like getting worse and worse.
Mm-hmm.
Not as scary anymore, but really they're very upsetting scenes.
Wow.
Kurt, you just watched this for the first time, didn't you?
Yeah, probably last Halloween time on 4K. I liked it a lot.
Yeah, I think you, Drew, and I were talking about it at one point.
That's right, yeah.
John, what's your opinion of this one?
It holds up really well. They remade it a few years ago, and it was just a real arrogant, like kind of almost like they didn't try, like, oh, it's Stephen King, we're remaking Pet Sematary, we'll just phone this in.
Yeah.
And so it holds up pretty well. My biggest disappointment is I agree that it's one of Stephen King's best books, and my problem with it is that in the third act, when it's basically the climax, it seems to have a little bit of an identity crisis of, is this a scary movie or is this a Evil Dead
Mm-hmm.
kind of camp? And it takes away the punch that they built up.
I agree with that.
With the tacked on ending, that Stephen King deliberately wanted to kind of surprise people with a slightly different ending, or at least an expanded ending from his novel, and I don't think it works. It's kind of, I guess, a little too obvious, or just sort of tacked on. The leave you hanging ending of the book is so haunting, and to show you what happens, I think is a cheat.
Yeah,
it's entertaining, and I've watched it many times, and if you're in the mood for it, it really hits the spot. That's for sure.
hell yeah.
I was actually kind of excited about a remake because I thought, oh great, they're going to have the Huevos to do it the way Stephen King wrote it, but they didn't. They went the other direction and made it kind of safe. Because the book, actually, you mentioned, it's one of his most disturbing books. I don't know if you know this, but when Stephen King wrote it, he put it away. He was like, I can't publish this. It's too much. And then he had to, in order to get out of a publishing deal, he had to submit like 2 books or something. So he said, okay, well, here it comes.
Oh my God.
Good luck with this one. Yeah.
If you want a book, here's a book.
Yeah, but I would love to see them do another remake, I dare say, and do it right. The thing that doesn't quite come across, that it's hinted at, and it's better to abandon it than to do it wrong. But in the book, the Pet Cemetery, because when you watch the movie, you think like, why do they keep burying things in this Pet Cemetery if it's evil? Mm-hmm. But in the book, the Pet Cemetery, like, it hypnotizes you. Like, yeah, it knows you are grieving. It draws you, and it's like, come to us, and it's that's the scariest part of the book for me, is that the Pet Cemetery has this hold over the town and everything. And it's hard to do in a movie, but if somebody did that, it would be the most terrifying movie ever made.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, that's the biggest thing. That is the biggest thing that's missing from this one, because there's even hints of like a massive creature that kind of lives in these backwoods, that it's like a Wendigo, that it just exists in this area that is like pulling people to this evil Pet Cemetery. That book rocks, dude.
Well, I mean, obviously we've only scratched the surface. Should we talk a little bit about favorites? Do you guys have like top all-time Stephen King movies?
I think if I were to talk about my top Stephen King movies, it would be really boring for 2 reasons. Because number one, because they're obvious. Number two, because I think probably my top, if I were to do my top 3, it'd be Shawshank, Stand By Me, and The Shining. It's kind of off topic to say that the Shawshank and Stand By Me are your favorite Stephen King films, because they're not on brand,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
they're fantastic movies. Stand By Me is very sentimental because when it came out, I was the same age as the kids in it, and I lived in a town like that in Oregon where it was filmed. So there's a very sentimental attachment to Stand By Me. Shawshank is just a perfect movie, any way you slice it.
Yeah,
it's just absolutely flawless. But and then The Shining, it's kind of a cop out to say that's my Stephen King movie because it's Stanley Kubrick. But it's just the superlative horror film. You can't. Mm-hmm. You can't top it. I mean, he's, got a poster of it right here in my room.
I have a big old soft spot for Tobe Hooper's Salem's Lot, which I've talked about on this show before. Great TV movie that I think was then edited into one full, like, longer 3-hour movie. Another movie that was remade in the past little bit that fucking sucks.
Is there a physical release of the Tobe Hooper one?
No, but if you remember a couple episodes ago, we talked about Arrow kind of like quietly announced it.
Oh, cool.
I have a Blu-ray box set of Stephen King movies. It's like 8 movies, and it's like I couldn't believe, because usually when you get a box set, it's like 1 good movie or 2 good movies and 3 crap. Mm-hmm. But this one has Tobe Hooper, Salem's Lot. It has the original It. It has The Shining. I don't think it has Dr. Sleep. It all has Shawshank and Green Mile.
Damn!
Wow,
it's an amazing set. So yeah, I have the miniseries on Blu-ray of Salem's Lot, just by extension. Yeah,
that's great. Misery, I mean, it's hard to talk about Stephen King without talking about Misery, another great movie with an incredible lead performance from Kathy Bates. I mean, if we're going campy, The Running Man, come on.
Oh my God, The Running Man is Stephen King?
Well, yeah, I mean, Richard Bachman, but that was his pseudonym, yeah.
Yeah, wow.
I'm really excited about the remake by Edgar Wright. I don't know if you've seen the trailer, but boy, it really looks like it delivers.
I was in a movie and it came on and I was like, okay, I haven't seen any of this. So I watched like the first 30 seconds. It was like, oh, I don't need to see any more of this. Mm-hmm. Coleman Domingo, Glenn Powell, Edgar Wright, sign me right up. Actually, one more that I'll highlight. John, you actually showed this over the past 2 or 3 years at the Hollywood, The Dark Half, George Romero's The Dark Half, which I hadn't seen in a long time, but rewatching it was a lot of fun.
I was debating whether to watch The Dark Half or Silver Bullet because I got the Vinegar Syndrome 4K of The Dark Half.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't really know anything about this.
There are some really awesome practical effects in The Dark Half.
Okay.
And there's a scene in which somebody gets kicked in the head like super hard. And I remember seeing it on the big screen and was like, oh my God, that looked so painful.
Amy Madigan, right?
Yep.
On Gladys.
And Timothy Hutton.
Yeah.
The last one I'll point out, which I wished for very early on this show, is a 1997 movie based on a Stephen King short story called The Night Flyer, which is like kind of campy and dumb, but there's a really, really great vampire in it and vampire effects. And I was hoping that Graveyard Shift was going to be kind of campy in the same way that The Night Flyer is, but it didn't capture any of the same energy.
If you read the source material, there's not much there, but they did a really good job of expanding it. But what I love about it is that the plot is that there's this vampire that flies in an actual plane instead of a bat, and he uses the plane as his coffin during the day, and he flies from town to town feeding off of people. But what's great about it is that the protagonist is this tabloid journalist, and he's a pilot as well, and he's following this vampire, tracking and following his mayhem. But what I love about The Night Flyer is the irony that most vampire movies, or indeed monster movies that take place in the real world, the protagonist is somebody who says this is a monster and no one believes them. But in The Night Flyer, he's a skeptical tabloid journalist, and everybody he interviews in the wake of this murdering spree says, this is a real vampire. It's like, no, it's not. And so you never see the movie where the hero is a skeptic.
Yeah.
And the ending is so great when he finally, like, it's just, there's all this build up and you keep thinking this could go wrong in so many ways. And oh my God, it's such a great ending.
It's so good. The ending is so good. Kurt, what are some of your favorites?
I mean, I don't really have any that haven't been mentioned. I knew that I was going to be walking into a room with experts here and was excited to basically build a list of stuff to see, which you guys did not let me down on. I do have a question, though. The question is, what's up with Dreamcatcher? I remember Dreamcatcher coming out like in the late 90s or early 2000s. It was like one of the first movies I feel like on my radar where I was like, whoa, like what is this? I can't wait to see that. And then it was like supposed to be so bad that I didn't see it. And it was like, as a kid, I was like one of the first examples of that. But is it awesome?
I will put it on Tubi at work sometimes. And no.
Okay.
It's real bad.
Who's in it?
The cast is nuts. It's Timothy Olyphant, Jason Lee,
Thomas Jane,
yeah, come on, Morgan Freeman, Tom Sizemore,
Damian
Lewis, yeah.
Damn.
It's really a dream team, especially a lot of these guys were kind of untapped at the time. And
didn't Lawrence Kasdan write it?
Yeah.
And maybe direct it?
Yeah. I have a real interesting relationship with Dreamcatcher, and actually it's in that box that I just mentioned, which is the only way I could ever own it. But I have this weird sort of unrealistic sort of Charlie Brown trying to kick the football relationship with Dreamcatcher, thinking like, I'll watch it, maybe it'll be good this time. And the thing is funny, it's almost intriguing because it's like there are so many talented people and seasoned people. I think William Golding wrote it, actually.
Yeah, it's the screenplay is Lawrence Kasdan and William Goldman, and it's directed by Kasdan.
Yeah, there are all these really like enormous talents involved in it, and you're thinking like, how could this people be involved and have it go this direction? That doesn't make any sense. But I sometimes I'll watch it going, I gotta just watch this again just to dissect it a little more. So I watched it for kind of like almost scientific purposes, not so much because I like it. But yeah, it's got a hold on me somehow.
It's such a strange one.
Who's the most likely to put that out on 4K?
Arrow or Vinegar Syndrome?
I'll be there.
I want to talk about another movie that it's not like one of my all-time favorite Stephen King films, so I just want to just give it a shout, is John Carpenter's Christine, because I love John Carpenter, but it was one of the first Stephen King adaptations I saw and was really jonesing to see it, because it came out after Creepshow, so I'd already seen Creepshow. But as a kid and not having read the book, I knew what I was in for. It's like, oh my God, a haunted car that runs over people. There's nothing that a 9-year-old kid wants to see more than that. And I remember my grandmother, we didn't have HBO, but we did have a VCR, and we would have her tape these. We'd ask her like, hey, Christine's on HBO, can you tape it? And we'll pick it up next time we visit you. And I remember being so excited to get Christine on VHS. And my first memory of it was she gave us the tape, but my grandmother, being my grandmother, would never rewind it. She just like, here, I recorded it for you.
Yeah,
Here, take it.
here you go.
So I would rewind it, but it was funny because she would record multiple movies on the same tape, so it wasn't at the beginning of the tape. So I had to find out where Christine started. So I'm watching the tape, and I hit play, and I seeing these little bursts of Christine as I'm trying to find the intro, going, oh my god, I can't wait to watch this. And one scene that I remember too was my mother was in the room, and it was a scene where the shop teacher confronts the bullies for pulling a knife, and the bully just like curses out the shop teacher, like saying, you try to make me turn on my pockets, I'll knock your fucking head through the wall, you bald fucker. And my mom was like, what did you have grandma record for you?
Yeah, what is grandma doing?
Yeah. But that movie, that's another sentimental just because of how early I saw it and how fucking satisfying it was.
Yeah.
That might even have been my first Carpenter movie, honestly, now I think about it. And
Wow.
so yeah, so I just have to give special props to Christine because it's like, I said my top 3 are kind of mainstream pleasers, but Christine is a little bit of a unsung hero, I think, and I think it's just fantastic.
Yeah. I can't remember what I chose it for, but I highlighted it on an episode of this podcast at one point because I needed to rewatch it because I didn't have a great relationship with it, but this last time that I watched it, I was like, oh, I get it now.
Mm-hmm.
That talked me into buying it, Sam, and I watched that 4K, which is fantastic.
And all the car rebuilding itself, it's just so cool.
That was amazing. That blew my mind.
Yeah.
It was so good.
It's like reverse photography, right? Of like,
Yeah. Genius.
I love the use of the 50s rock and roll.
Yes. Yeah. Incredible.
They picked just the best songs, and they made them seem creepy, and it's so great.
Those scenes of Christine kind of slowly like rounding the corner while she's on fire are awesome.
Amazing.
Well, we've covered some of them, some of the better ones, some of the good ones. There's just so many. We'll have to have you back, John, next year.
I would love to be back.
Everybody get out to the Hollywood, go on their website, buy tickets to the double feature September 22nd, Dr. Sleep and Firestarter.
Well, I'm sad we don't live in Portland for this because I wish we could go.
Yeah, it's always a good time.
You guys will have to come out next year.
Yeah, that would be perfect.
Yeah, again, for Stephen King's 80th birthday, I'd like to show 8 movies over the month, and
that'd be awesome.
See what we can get.
Dreamcatcher 8 times in a row.
Yeah, exactly. I will say, just for the sake of, if anybody's on the fence about going, and maybe this is like a last straw, every one of these Stephen King screenings, I raffle off copies of his books, and I usually try to get copies of the books of the movies, and this year is no exception. So there's a raffle for the books Firestarter and Dr. Sleep if you don't have them, and again, tangible, real book.
Hell yeah.
Another reason to come.
Maybe you should raffle off Sam's copy of Graveyard Shift.
Yeah. It's like, I'll like get one of those books and cut it out.
Yeah, just have the disc right in it.
Put the disc in the book and hey, what I thought it was in the book.
What is this?
Our show will donate that to your screening.
For the cause.
Well, thanks so much, John. This was fantastic.
Yeah, I had a really good time. Thanks, you guys. I appreciate it.
Okay, before we go, Sam, it's time to put wishes out into the physical media universe for titles on formats that do not yet exist. In honor of Stephen King, let's get spooky. I wish. I'm pretty sure I've already wished for this, but I wish for a 4K of Sam Mendes's Road to Perdition.
I wish for a 4K of Tobe Hooper's Invaders from Mars.
Actually, you know what? In the interest of having probably already wished for mine, Road to Perdition starring Tom Hanks on 4K, I'm going to wish for Castaway on 4K starring Tom Hanks.
Okay.
I was just thinking a lot about like late 90s, early 2000s Tom Hanks while watching The Green Mile. Both of those popped in my head. Road to Perdition was a huge favorite of mine as a kid. Castaway is one we would watch a lot as a family, and a movie I have not seen since I was a kid, Castaway. And I'd love to revisit it, and I'd love to revisit it on 4K. This is Robert Zemeckis, Tom Hanks, stranded on an island, befriends and personifies, anthropomorphizes a volleyball. Incredible Tom Hanks. And from what I remember, a great movie. So there you go. Sam?
Yeah, I wished for 1986's Invaders from Mars, which is a Tobe Hooper remake of a sci-fi horror movie from the 50s. Super campy, super fun, great creature effects, Karen Black, Another movie that I've thrown on Tubi at work before, and I've seen, but watching scenes of it at work, I'm like, oh yeah, I really need to revisit this, and I would love to see it in 4K.
Sam, before we wrap up, I wanted to ask you, I realized that there is a Stephen King adaptation coming to theaters this month. It's called The Long Walk.
Ooh, yeah.
Are you familiar with this? Have you read this?
Yeah, this is a short story I read shortly after moving to Portland. Very heavy and kind of fucked up, but a really good read, and I'm really excited to see it. It's got Philip Seymour Hoffman's kid in it.
Yeah. Directed by Francis Lawrence.
But written by the guy who wrote and directed Strange Darling.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, that is it for another episode of Physical Therapy. A huge thank you to John Bohlmann, our fantastic guest. A thank you to Stephen King for giving us a reason to be here.
If you're in Portland, again, please go out and get tickets to the Stephen King double feature at the Hollywood. It's going to be a great time.
A big thank you to Patrick LeBon for our music, to Kimberly for producing. Sam, thank you for showing up. You're not feeling well. Nobody knew that.
We're making it work. We're making it work, all right?
Most importantly, thank you for listening to this show. We will be back next week, and we will see you then.